Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Eric Paxton. Today is October 11th, 2025. We are going over week 4 assignment for FTH 223 with the Sonoran Desert Institute, the Handgun Specialist course. We're going to be using the SAR USA B6, and we'll go ahead and show clear. No magazine, nothing in the chamber, completely empty, no ammunition present, no ammunition in it. Both fee sources are right here, and both are completely empty. As you can see, the red follower on the top. We're going to go ahead and let the slide down and set the hammer down. For part 1 of this assignment, we're going to explain the science behind compensators. Compensators are basically an attachment that goes on the end of your muzzle, or what some people will call a muzzle device. Some have cuts on the side with vents and on the top. Some have them just on the top. The object of it is that when you have a round in the chamber and you fire the round, the primer ignites, setting fire to the gunpowder then sends a projectile flying down the barrel. As it exits the barrel, without a compensator pushing down on it, they tend to have, with larger calibers or more high-powered rounds, tend to have what's called a muzzle flip, where it flips up, causing you to come off target, and you have to forcefully push it back down. The idea of the compensator is, with the cuts on the top, is that when the bullet exits and the gases are following it, they are vented up first, causing a downward push because the bottom of the piece is completely flat, not allowing anything to pass through. So it should help mitigate and almost do away with muzzle flip on some lower powered rounds. Pros are they do help with that. The cons would be that it's going to be a little heavier depending on the size of the compensator, and it's going to be harder to find holsters to fit that particular firearm with the compensator added if they don't normally have those available. So that's it for part 1. We're going to pause right here. We will come back for part 2, which is the stoning and polishing portion, and we'll see you guys in just a few seconds. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera around for you here real quick. Show you a before of the parts that we're going to do, which are the trigger bar. You can see the shiny spots on it where it needs to be kind of polished up a little bit. The front house on the inside, you can see a little bit if I can get the camera to focus on just that part a little bit, maybe. And we move over to the hammer. We have that right here. There's a couple of spots on that ledge that need to be polished up a little bit. The disconnector, a little bit on the top, maybe. The sear, a little bit on the inside. You can see some of the shiny spots when you roll it around in the light. And then the portion that contains the sear on the inside, I might polish that down just a little bit to smooth it up. The ejector portion looks pretty good. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So we'll flip the camera, set it in our stand. We're going to pause the video. Sorry if I can quit being tongue-tied. We'll pause the video right here. I will do the stoning and polishing portion. I will come back and show you the after results of what it looks like, and then we will move forward from there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have done our little bit of stoning and polishing, and you can see right here we've taken some off of the inside of the trigger there, because that's where that roll pin goes through it, and it swings back and forth on it, and it rubs against the sides of this. So that should smooth that out a little bit. We've taken some off the back here to smooth that out because there was rough surfaces where that slides up underneath of the parts behind it. So that should smooth that up a little bit. I didn't mess with the sear because that has a lot to do with the lockup on the trigger and all that or catching the hammer and everything when it comes back and locking it in place before the trigger releases it. So I would rather not mess up, possibly alter the angles of that, causing it to not be functional. So we left that one alone. Basically with the stoning and polishing, what we're hoping to achieve is to smooth up the trigger a little bit and make it just, a smoother pull altogether. Take out the grittiness of it, take out the roughness, things that might be slowing it down. We did our trigger pulls, single action. 4 of them were at 4, 1 at 3.5, averaging a 3.9 pound trigger pull. In double action, we did 5 of those again, 1 being 6, which I think was an error, 1 being 10, and then 3 being 11 for a 9.8 pound trigger pull. In single action, it was, short and just kind of soft. In double action, it was long and a little tough. And the reset is all the way out. You don't get no short reset like some of the other ones do. So at this point, we're going to pause our video. We're going to reassemble the firearm and proceed with the next step and return from there. So we'll see you guys in just a few seconds. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. We're going to go ahead and show clear again after the firearm's been reassembled. Nothing in it. Nothing in the feed source area. Feed sources are both right here, completely empty. No ammunition present. So we're going to go ahead and let it slide down. Let the hammer down, and we're going to kind of assess the trigger pull to see if it made it any different. It lightened it up some. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a tremendous amount, but, or should I say smoothed it up, not lightened. So, I mean, it's definitely got some improvement. Not sure I like that rattly sound, but makes a difference when you got a magazine in it. That rattle sound was due to the magazine not being present. Okay, so now we're going to pause the video again right here. We're going to disassemble it and reinstall the reduced power spring set kit here. And we'll go from there to see basically what kind of a difference that makes, if any at all. So let's give that a try, and we will come right back and let you know. Okay, so we did the test where we did the trigger pull weights, and it took the single action down to 3 and the double action down to 9 from 3.9 and 9.8. So it just kind of evened them off at a flat, even. It didn't drop it a whole lot, but with this thing, and show clear again. With this particular pistol, the trigger pull was already long anyway, and without being able to change that, it's really going to not do a whole lot to the trigger unless you have a really, really light spring set to put in it. So now we're going to do the drop test, which basically you'll take that right there like that. We're going to take not the metallic end, but the wood end of the handle and kind of give the firearm some taps, in the area to see if it would go off, and it does not, which tells me it would pass a drop safety test. And then we've done the trigger pull. That still, it doesn't feel much different, but some. We basically accomplished these tasks by, taking our polishing stones here, putting a little bit of oil on them, and then lightly taking them and rubbing them across the surfaces that we needed to remove the material from. ever so lightly so as to not change the angle. If you press too hard or alter the angle, you are going to mess something up and it's not going to work right. For our reflection and response of that, to give an assessment of my skills at being able to do this, after having taken this firearm apart several times now, probably at least 20 times, and performing that work on not just this one, but a couple of other firearms that I own, I do believe that, my skill with this is competent. I can handle it. It's not as scary as it was when I first started. This was very intimidating when I first started it because I was afraid that I was going to absolutely just mess it up on a level like no other. Oh, excuse me, sorry for the yawns. That's been a long day for me. And as far as what I need more practice before doing this kind of work, in the saying, as it goes, practice makes perfect. So the more practice you can get, the better you're going to be at something. So without a doubt, practice, absolutely, I would take as much of that as I can possibly get my paws on. So with that one being said, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to cut this right here. See you guys next time, and stay safe.